So you want to build a website. You've probably felt that feeling, right? It's like you're standing at a trailhead and there are just a dozen different signs pointing in every direction. Well, today we're going to explore that entire trail, from the absolute easiest path all the way to the high-speed monorail of modern web development. It really is the big question. You've got this great idea for a business, a blog, maybe a portfolio, but actually turning that idea into a real live website, that can feel pretty overwhelming. So where do you start? Well, for most people, the journey begins with a really, really tempting promise. You have absolutely seen this everywhere, on YouTube and ads from influencers. They're all promising that you can go from zero to a fully professional-looking website in like the time it takes to grab a coffee. I mean, it sounds way too good to be true, but is it? This is the hook. This is pulled right from a super popular tutorial. The promise isn't just that you'll get a website, it's that you'll get it fast. It taps right into that need for immediate results, and you know what? It's all built on a process that's actually surprisingly simple. And there it is, the entire recipe in just 4 steps. Notice there's no mention of code, no confusing jargon. It's just a simple checklist. Buy your web address, install the software, pick a look you like, and then just fill it in with your own stuff. This whole approach defines the first major path you can take. Let's call this person the builder. Now, the builder isn't someone who makes the bricks or forges the steel beams from scratch. Nope, they take high-quality, pre-made parts and assemble them into something incredible. This whole path is all about the tools you use. And the Builder's Toolkit, it is packed with powerful platforms like WordPress, Wix, and Shopify. And a whole world of courses has popped up to teach people how to get really good with these tools, often without ever having to write a single line of code. And we're not just talking about making a simple little website here. With this approach, you can build a full-on online store, make sure it shows up on Google, and you can even turn these skills into a freelance career, all just by mastering these drag-and-drop tools and plugins. So here's the key takeaway. The builder path is a lot like getting one of those amazing prefabricated home kits. All the pieces are designed to fit together perfectly. You get to decide the layout, the colors, the finishes, and you can put up a beautiful, totally functional house incredibly fast. But what if you want to design that house from the ground up? Well, that brings us to our second path, the architect. See, the architect isn't happy with pre-made kits. They want to understand the foundations, the structural engineering, the very physics of what makes a building stand up. They start with a completely blank sheet of paper. And for the web, that blank paper means learning its fundamental languages, HTML and CSS. This isn't about assembling pieces anymore. It's about creating the pieces themselves. It's a totally different way of thinking. And this is what's hiding under the hood of every single drag-and-drop tool out there. It's the source code. HTML gives the content its structure, the headlines, the paragraphs, and then CSS gives its style, the colors, the fonts, the layout. The architect is literally speaking the browser's native language. Okay, so let's put them side by side. The builder, you can launch in hours, and you have a really high degree of creative control. The architect, it might take you weeks, but you have absolute control over every last pixel. It's that classic trade-off, right? Speed versus customization, ease of use versus ultimate power. But the story doesn't end there. It's not just a simple choice between one or the other. Because in the real world, there's this huge, fascinating middle ground. It's a space where you start to kind of peek under the hood of the builder's tools, and you get more control without necessarily having to become a full-blown architect. Let's go back to WordPress. That 10-minute tutorial, it used a simple one-click install. This is the manual installation. It requires you to actually handle files, set up databases, and edit configuration files. It's definitely more technical, but it also gives you way more control. And this is really just the first step down the rabbit hole. Because if we keep pulling on that thread, we go way past the builder and the architect, and we enter the world of the deep tech engineer. This is where the tools themselves are actually created, where the fundamental performance of the entire web is debated and completely reinvented. So just how far can we actually push this? What does the real cutting edge look like, far, far away from the world of drag and drop? It looks like this. A research paper called Signal First Architectures, Rethinking Front-End Reactivity. Yeah, that's a world away from make a website in 10 minutes. This isn't about what a website looks like. It's about how it thinks and reacts on the most basic level. What you're seeing here is proof that the web is never static. The ways we build websites are constantly changing. Engineers are always finding new ways to make things faster, moving from one big idea to the next. And this new approach, called Signals, is the latest revolution. So why is this whole Signals thing such a big deal? Well, it all comes down to efficiency. Think of it like this. Older methods had to constantly check everything on the page to see if anything changed. Signals, on the other hand, just tells the app exactly what changed. That saves a ton of work. And the result? Under heavy use, older methods can eat up over 13 megabytes of memory. The Signals approach? It uses about 1. That is a massive difference, especially for a complex app running on your phone. The performance gains are just stunning. Latency, that's just how long a task takes, is way lower. And frame drops, that stuttery feeling you get when you scroll sometimes, Signals can reduce those by 67%. This is all about making web applications feel just as smooth and responsive as the native apps on your phone. And here it is, the headline number from the research. Under certain conditions, these new signal-based architectures can be up to 5.7 times faster. That is a gigantic leap in performance. So, wow. We've gone from a 10-minute website all the way to academic papers talking about millisecond performance gains. How on earth do you make sense of all this? How do you pick your path? Well, the truth is, there is no single best path. There are only trade-offs. Look at this comparison. The green shape, which is Signals, just dominates when it comes to performance and memory. But see, the blue shape, an older method, it's much better at something called debuggability, which is super important for huge, complex apps. The right choice completely depends on your goals. Are you building a personal blog, or are you building the next Google Maps? And so we end up right back where we began, at the start of the trail. But now, hopefully, you can see the different paths a lot more clearly. Are you the builder grabbing powerful tools to launch something amazing quickly? Are you the architect, carefully crafting every single detail from the ground up with code? Or are you maybe the deep tech engineer, pushing the absolute limits of what's even possible on the web? There is no wrong answer. Your journey starts by deciding which direction you want to take first.